I'm ready when you're ready.
Okay. Okay, welcome everyone. We'll call together the regular council meeting Tuesday, 15th, 2025, at 7:03 p.m. We'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Indigenous peoples of the Treaty 7 territory and the Otay-Peninsula Métis Government, District 4. We respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all First Peoples of Canada whose presence continues to enrich our community. And 2.1, are there any changes to the agenda? If there's no changes, can I get a motion?
Sure.
Councilor Bain.
I'll make the April 2025.
Oh, hang on.
Through the chair, there is an amendment to remove item 5.1, the 2024 audited financial statements, as there'll be a special council meeting next Tuesday.
Okay, so we can make that.
That we then be amended to remove item 5.1, 2024 audited presentation and the
Okay, so to accept the agenda of the removal of 5.1.
yes,
And that special council meeting be held September or April 22nd.
Okay, and that the special council.
the special count April 22nd, 2025.
Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor? That's motion carried. Okay, item 2.1, everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the first 2025. Are there any edits? Okay, no edits, can I get a motion?
To the chair,
Councilor Knight.
I motion to table for 2025. Council.
Any discussion? Can I get a motion? Sorry, all in favor? Okay, delegations, 4.1, Brockfield Municipal Library Board appointments. Joe Tennant, Library Chairperson, comment?
I'd just like to introduce the two new members.
Please, so everything is happening.
So just introduce the two members. They submitted their applications to the council because there's a recommendation from the library board. So to give you some steps, if you get a background.
That sounds great. Let's start. Yes, do a little introduction.
Please excuse my lack of punctuality. I was at the town office. My name is Ken LeBlanc. I've been a resident of Crossville for 35 years. Ex-firefighter. Andrews and Gerson on Facebook board. I volunteered for the board and I thought, well, I'm retired. Why not? So I'm going to look at meetings and so now we understand I have a face so you can see what's going on. And my three kids went to school here and my wife and I are here. And that's about it. I spent 35 years in so,
Excellent. So do you know the process?
I have no criminal record.
That was my first question.
No, I'm explain.
Excellent. Well, I don't have any questions for you, but I sure appreciate you volunteering for one of our boards, being a stellar member of our community.
All right, thank you. Thank you. One thing for me too. Go ahead, you can.
So can I talk to us?
Yeah.
My name's Ian Kennedy. Like I told Tim at the farmer's market last week,
I know it was a busy weekend because of cross hockey and everything. We just moved here, in the Vista community a year ago, so we wanted to get involved in the community. We moved from Airdrie. I did 22 years in the military, so I've done a lot of fundraising, done a head of a lot of different, so we say associations within the military and one to find out. I did 13 years with Walmart, did a lot of fundraising with them and built a lot of positions. We look forward to spending, I guess, the rest of my life here in Crossfield, and we wanted to get involved. We never got involved in any other communities that we lived in, so we thought it was a good time now that I'm retired. So,
Excellent, thank you. Questions for you?
and I don't smoke.
No criminal
do
record?
drugs,
Yeah.
any occasional.
Well, thanks again, for volunteering and making, Crossville a better place. We certainly appreciate you stepping up, and welcome to Crossville.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, can I get a motion then?
Chair,
Counselor Brennan,
I move the council board appoint Philip Compton and Kennedy Library Board of Trustees for a 3-year term effective first, 2025, expiring April 1st.
excellent. I'll just open up the floor for discussion.
Good, Chair.
Counselor Nichols.
Not a discussion, thanks for what you're your time. Pretty important thing. I appreciate the library chairman. Good, thanks to you, go forward.
Excellent. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. All in favor? Thank you. Thanks for coming in, you guys. Keep up the good work. Okay, item number 6, 2025 budget, 6.1. Operating capital budget, Amber Willett, Chief Financial Officer. And Jane Kramer.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I have a few reports for you. The first, which is the 2025 operating and capital approval budget report. This report outlines the proposed budget adjustments for the 2025 operating and capital budget. The adjustments to both the operating and capital budget are a result of changes to forecasts using external factors for more accurate information. The initial approval back in November. The operating adjustments are proposed prior to setting the property tax rate for 2025. But, recommendations, one is that council approve the 2025 operating budget in the amount of $1,877,281, inclusive of transfers to reserves totaling $1,340,000, $600 as presented. And that council approved the 2025 capital budget in the amount of $3,895,800. So I've provided a table of adjustments that explain various revenue and expense categories and what the changes are since November. I won't read through them, but if you guys have any questions on any items, then I'll be happy to special presentation. But the overall impact to revenue and expense is $597 since the last time we talked about budget. For the capital budget, that the capital plan is increased by $496,024, inclusive of the following changes. The fire engine budget was increased by $488,524 to account for the full purchase in this year and the associated debt that will fund the fire. The removal of the RV dump project as directed by council through motion 013-25, up to $7,500 increase. Administration redesignated the solid waste recycling first budget to the building maintenance budget to address capital upgrades required at the operations building. That's a $25,000 budget. There are carry forward dollars from 24 into 25 for waste charge and recycling purposes. So this so that program won't fall behind. Finally, there's an addition of an arena score clock replacement project to be funded from reserve. We've allocated $1,000 as a project. The score clock failed in January of this year, and since that time, the council utilizing the WG Murdoch School's score clock controller to look along through the end of the hockey season. The proposed score clock will be similar to the existing one, however, it will have additional features where it tracks shots on net and will be Bluetooth enabled. And finally, just to note that the score clock is an essential amenity, and without this equipment, user groups cannot offer programming at the arena as the facility is intended to be. So, as far as communication and engagement is concerned, the 2025 budget book will be posted on the town's website and communicated through the town's channel. And the financial implication of the proposed budget is that, the municipal revenue requirements have decreased from the previously approved amount by $279,572. This translates to a revenue requirement in over 2024 of 3.93%, which is equivalent to $10.15 per month for the average resident property when compared to before. This increase does not include changes to the requisition amounts for items such as provincial education taxes. Budgets for these items are prepared by Alberta Education and Foundation. In my report, available questions.
Thanks, Anthony. Questions for Anthony? Okay, looks like there's no questions to these gentlemen report. Can I get a motion?
Is there
Councilor Layton.
a motion that council approve the 2025 operating budget? $10,877,281, inclusive of transfers to reserves totaling $662 as presented.
Okay, I'll just open up the floor for any discussion on the motion. Okay, no discussion. All in favor? That's motion carried. Amber, looks like next. We have another motion to you. We want both motions now. Yes. Okay, so proposed motion that council approves the 2025 capital budget. Who would like to make that motion?
Through the chair.
Deputy Mayor.
I'll make the motion that council approve the 2020 capital budget in the amount of $3,895,800 as presented.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor? That's motion carried. Okay, item number 7.1, bylaw 2025, three fees and rate.
This report accompanies amendment to the 2025 bylaw. The amendment reflects the decrease in the 5-month rate town, and as previously mentioned, in a previous meeting by Director Alpina, the town entered into an agreement with Circular Materials under the Extended Producer Responsibility Program, which came into effect 2025. under this program, the town will reimburse for a significant portion of the cost for its curbside recycling program. The proposed fee reduction has been included in the 2025 operating budget adjustment that have just been approved by council.
Good thing that happened. I don't know.
So all these answers. But yes. The proposed changes for the recycling fees and rates, a decrease in the bi-monthly curbside recycling to $13, from $20 bi-monthly to $7 bi-month. The rate decrease was reflected in the May 5 billing cycle, which is inclusive of equal charges incurred March 26th and May 24th. The financial impact of this rate decrease is a net revenue decrease $6,000 for the and charges revenue category. Finally, under communication and engagement, a residential communication plan informing residents of the requirements of the curbside recycling program is underway. If approved, the utility customers will see increase in the bi-monthly curbside recycling costs of $20 down to $7, and a note will be included in utility bill. The bylaw is attached and the result. Any questions?
Great, well, that's a good news story. Thanks, Amber. Questions for Amber? Through the
Sure.
chair. Deputy Mayor.
Amber, I don't know if you have the agenda on for me, it's on 741. It's under CrossFit Community Center. Okay, this is just more maybe of a suggestion, so you've still got the rental information listed for the House of Classroom, which is now on council chambers. So this is more of a recommendation to maybe take that off of the rental forms, because it's gonna be minimum 5 years until this room is available. So that that way won't cause any confusion for the transactions.
Through the chair, it is taken off of the rental contracts.
That was my question.
Counselor Knight, or sorry, Counselor Guston.
Through the chair. Thank you, Mayor. Just going back to the sites, great that we had to cross them. I just have a bit of concern. Is this just sustainable? How long, like, we're at $20 or how long were we at 5 months? And now we're at 7. I know it's not a huge amount, but is it sustainable? Are we going to be creeping back up to that? What's our forecast for the next couple of years for this curbside recycling?
To the mayor, to Councilor Gustafson. So I believe our contract with Circular Materials is for the next 18 months plus, I believe, mentioned another 7 months, so about 25 months until our contract with Blue Planet expires. After which, administration will present council with an option whether to have Circular Materials take over the recycling program in town, and then they would cover all the costs and they would manage the program in town. Otherwise, the town would be able to continue to be its own service provider with compensation for Circular Materials. So I'm expecting to see the cost savings, well into the future, and certainly if Circular Materials to take recycling program in town would cost to the town residents for recycling. I think the costs that CFO that is presented here are, since we're still managing that Blue Planet contract, or kind of administrative costs for administration to manage those contracts. So they're quite low, so I don't see a significant price escalation over the next few years. But we'll be touching base with council, coming up in the next years on this cost going forward and where that contract may be going with it.
Okay, thanks for clarification. Thank you.
Any other questions? Number. The first today. Okay, if there's no questions, the first meeting. Promotion.
Through the chair.
Counselor Guston.
I'll move the bylaw 2025-03 fees and rates.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Uh,
Motion carried. And second, we'd like to make that motion. Councilor Brennan,
and the bylaw 25-0, bylaw second.
any discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor? Motion carried. And third reading with unanimous consent.
Through the chair,
Deputy Mayor,
make the motion that bylaw 2025.04 cessation bylaw be brought forward for third and final reading with unanimous consent.
any discussion on the motion?
She said taxation. Season break.
Oh, did I? Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Okay, go back up.
Lindsay,
I'll make the motion that bylaw 2025-03 fees and rates bylaw be brought. Am I on the right?
Yep.
Okay, rates bylaw be brought forward for third and final reading with unanimous consent.
all in favor? Motion carried. You need to vote here. Thank you. And, the final reading. For motion, please.
Future.
Counselor Knight,
The motion to file up 2025-03 fees and rates file up third and final reading.
any discussion on the motion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, item 7.2, bylaw 2025-04-2025 tax rate. Amber, don't get too comfortable and hurt me out and after a couple more.
Okay, so the final report I have to present tonight to the council for bylaw 2025 for taxing bylaw. Bylaw sets the 2025 property tax rates and built on the 2025 operating budget. Administration task the council that are all three readings of bylaw 5-4 of the tax bylaw. Municipal tax rates. The MPA, Municipal Government Act, authorizes the municipality to pass an annual property tax bylaw imposing property tax sufficient to raise the necessary revenue, pay requisitions, expenditures, and transfers as set out in the budget. The 2025 rates include a general tax increase of 3.93%, equivalent to $190,640, and a non-residential rate split increase from 1.2 to 4. This rate split is aligned with for the annual budget policy 2023-6 that was approved in 2023. The annual property tax bylaw sets out the assessed property values by class and calculates the tax rate required to raise budgeted revenue tax revenues in accordance with property tax policy. The amount of the tax revenue required is established in the 2025 operating budget. The annual municipal tax requirement for residential property assessed at $390,000 will be an annual increase of $121.85 or $10.50 per month. Provincial education requisites. The 2025 provincial education requisites has increased $424,798 it's gone from 2.106 million to 2.53, an increase of 20.17%. The 2024 increase over the 2025 provincial education property tax rate increased compared to 2024. In addition, strong growth in property assessments and increased development have contributed to a higher overall education property tax requisition. As a result, the total provincial requisition is expected to rise from 0.7 billion to 3.1 billion, representing an increase of 20% project-wide. The annual education tax requisition for a residential property that's at $390,000 will see an increase of $127.67 or $3. For clarity, this requisition will go through tax that is collected on behalf of the province of Alberta by the municipality. Rocky View Foundation requisition. The 2025 Rocky View Foundation operating requisition of $51,404 is $3,673 less than in 2024, representing a 5.7%. The annual seniors housing requisition for residential properties set at $90,000 will see a decrease of about $2. And again, for clarity, this requisition is pulled through tax that is collected on behalf of the Rocky Foundation by the municipality. Market value assessment changes. When I say market value, I'm referring to inflation and as per annual budget policy 2020-06, the town does not tax overall market value appreciation or decrease. However, individual market value changes will be different for each property, with different impacts on their tax levy. On average, for the 12 months ending June 30th, 2024, non-residential properties experienced a market increase of 3.5%, whereas residential increased 12.8%. Taxable assessment growth. Taxable assessment on development is $13,238,000, comprised of $13,895,000 in residential growth and $657,000 in non-residential assessment decline. Non-residential assessment experienced decreased growth because of changes to assessment methodology. These changes can have offsetting implications for both growth and inflationary assessment changes. The basis of property assessment. As established by provincial legislation, the annual property assessments have been prepared based on property sales between July 1st, 2023, June 30th, 2024. Combined property tax and assessment notes will be mailed out by May 9th, 2020. Assessors and administration staff will be available by phone or in person to discuss current assessment, comparable assessment, and related concerns. The town advertises the combined property taxation and assessment notice mailing through Rocky View Weekly, town website, social media, and on town-owned billboards. Combined property taxation and assessment notices, as I previously mentioned, will be mailed no later than May 9th and are due by 4:30 p.m. on June 30th, excluding those on pre-authorized. Financial implications. The 2025 municipal tax requirement is $5,100,134. This revenue requirement will be attained by collecting $3,575,764 in residential taxation, which equates to a municipal tax rate of 5.1010 2025 and $1,550,370 in non-residential taxation, which equates to a non-residential tax rate of 7.1414. The attachment that we have here is the property tax bylaw. I am open for questions.
Questions for now? Councilor Knight.
Can you speak a bit for the people in the community, the tax assessment change for this year? A little bit, a lot of the change. I think I feel it's within raising the level for the choices. I don't know if we really explained to people comparison of year by year. It's hard to do property. What did we get last year?
The property tax increase or the assessment?
Property tax.
Oh,
Sorry. Property tax or
Sorry, this.
the assessment?
Assessment,
On the assessment.
yes.
I don't exactly have in front of me right now what our growth or inflationary tax were last year. I can speak if we were, sorry, through the chair, if we were to circle back to the section of my report that speaks to the provincial tax, if you think of it as, overall, the provincial school taxes increasing 14%, and for the town, it's increasing approximately 20. To me, that's an indicator that there has been substantial assessment growth in our community, more so than on average. So I don't know if that answers the question, Councilor Knight, but I would say that, the market is definitely strong in southern Alberta, and we are seeing that reflect for.
I think, Theo Warren, like, because there's some clarification.
Councilor Knight, I'm just wondering, see if how assessments. Stuff like that. All of
I think I'm just looking to try to answer some of these questions over, so. I think, okay,
how is assessment.
yeah.
Yeah.
A little more.
Yes, sorry. Sure, that's the context of that.
Absolutely, thank you. You know, running through the chair, the assessment, the town contracts. Appointed assessor, they are accredited through the province, it's extremely regulated. Residential assessment is based on market, indicators, so sales during that period of June 30th, 2020, no, July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. So go back about a year and a half and think about the sale prices, what the market was doing during that time. Those indicators are reflected in the 2025 assessment that was mid-May. So it definitely is, there are a lot of good indicators, you know, with the activity in the market, so that's typically where that is derived from. They do look at, they have all sorts of data points, whether it's permitting or other things that are happening in the community that the assessor is aware of, so that they're able to draw from that data also. And finally, the assessments are weighted. They are reviewed by the province so that they're consistent and equalized throughout province. That, you know, one municipality doesn't have a particularly biased assessor or something to that respect.
Well, I think that helps people understand. There's a question that last year. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just something that the town doesn't have any order. It's like school taxes, we don't have to hold that, or what we don't. Excellent. Any other questions for Amber?
Chair, Amber, I did.
Deputy Mayor.
So underneath, on the classified portion, where it says that the minimum amount payable per vacant parcel as property tax for general municipal purpose shall be $800. Is that a set rate, or can we change that rate to make it higher? Just to try to get them to build on the vacant properties, or do they have more flexibility on that amount?
Through the chair, yes, that amount is controlled by the council. The bylaw, anything within the bylaw can be changed by council. That is just, you know, a rate that was determined. You know, it's kind of a minimum, like, assess or taxation amount that we like to collect from a vacant lot. I'm sure, you know, to cover some of the costs of servicing that lot. The town previously had a bylaw that was rescinded that did incur decline rate for some vacant lots to help through development. There aren't many lots like that in town, so this methodology is less labor intensive and grows higher revenue through just acting all vacant land as opposed to managing timelines and how long it's vacant scale approach.
Okay, so in other words, the way that you have it separate now is actually more successful than what the tax.
I believe it the board's meant to manage, and. Yeah, more effective.
And that would include both industrial lots, as well as these and all the lots, yeah. Any other questions? No question, like, the first motion that by 25 taxation bylaw be given first reading.
Chair,
Counselor Brennan,
amended bylaw 2025-04 taxation bylaw.
okay, and I'll open up the floor for discussion on the motion. Okay. All in favor? Motion carried. Second reading,
Mr. Chair,
Counselor Knight,
I motion that bylaw 2025-04 taxation bylaw be second reading.
and again, I'll open up the floor for discussion. All right, all in favor? Motion carried. And third and final reading.
Chair,
Deputy Mayor.
make the motion that bylaw 2025-04 taxation bylaw be brought forward for third and final reading with unanimous consent.
And again, I'll open it up for discussion on the motion. There's no discussion, all in favor? That's motion carried, and then third and final reading. If you'd like to make that motion.
Chair,
Counselor Brennan,
amended bylaw 2025-04 taxation bylaw be third and final.
okay, and an opportunity for discussion. All in favor? That's motion carried. Thank you, Amber. Well, I'll skip that one, we'll go to 7.4. Just kidding. 7.3, bylaw 2025, chapter 5, district crossing phase 5, redesignation. Steve Altina, director of infrastructure.
Mayor Harris just had a brief presentation as well, so just give me a moment to fix it up.
Maybe we did a miss on tackling more on empty lots that haven't been developed yet.
Yes.
I think it's not always though. Anytime you're ready.
All right, and the presentation's ready. Mr. Harris. Steve Altina, Director of Infrastructure and Growth, here to present the new Fort First bylaw 2025-01, the redesignation of the Spencer Coffin 5 area, file number 2024-701. This considers the redesignation of a portion of Southwest 35, 28-5 west of 5th from Urban Reserve District to R1B, residential single attached unit lot district, R1C, residential single attached small parcel district, and municipal institutional district. Proposed redesignation covering 6.482 hectares, more or less, at 16.017 acres. To facilitate the development of 92 residential lots, 3 municipal lots with green space and stormwater management. Mr. Crossing Phase 5 itself will consist of 99 residential lots, 7 of which are on stream. Subject lands are located in the central portion of the Vista Crossing area structure plan. The Vista Crossing area comes through subject land 22 and then 4. Subject lands are currently zoned urban reserve district, like land for urban uses from premature development, which can be optimized future development, ranging from recreational uses on zone lands. The application was circulated to Rockingham County, as well as other agencies such as other transportation, economic corridors, Rockingham schools, aquaculture, TELUS, and departments. Circulation also there. Landlord will also circulate on the application by 30th, August 26, 2024. Of course, Municipal Government Act, no response to procedure. The development proposal, crossing phase 5, excuse me. The proposed consists again of 99 residential lots, including 51 residential single attached lot district lots, and 48 residential single attached small lots. Addition 3 municipal and institutional district lots created 3 phases so automatically. Of the 48 proposed R1C lots, 7 are on plan to previously proposed. Development areas and densities are presented behind here. You can see lots that are total and you can see per acre, averaging up to 5.94. Recommendation is that bylaw 2025-05 be given first reading, the council direct administrations. And to the bylaw, with the presentation.
Questions for the director?
Through the chair. I've got a few here. I'll just start with these. Some of the comments that came back, just on from the Rockingham County there, if available, the county requested a copy of the stormwater management plan. Was there a management plan to give at all?
To the mayor, Councilor Gustafson, we haven't yet provided the master drainage plan for development. The county does have that plan previously.
Okay. All routes have they been clearly marked, or would they be clearly marked? Because I just, can you bring up back to the one tree slot there? Yeah. But just I guess all routes, because it's going to be all through current residential right now. They have a sort of plan to go to Range Road 12, or what's the plan there?
To the mayor, Councilor Gustafson, that's it. It's subdivision details towards such development agreement, and of course to establish policies.
Okay. All right. The next one here, proposed widths and depth of 27 lots. It says that the urban systems, the proposed widths for 27% of all of the entire lots that are non-compliant with the average parcel width and depth. Can you expand upon that?
Sure, thank you. To the mayor, Councilor Gustafson, these are the comments we did receive from systems. I do apologize, I should have qualified them here. For the report. What occurs is the land use bylaw has a discrepancy in it when measuring average lot widths, which is section 2 of the land use bylaw. Town has proceeded on the basis of the in the past, so the lots are compliant. Of course, with figure 3 of the land use bylaw. So we would deem these lots to be compliant. We can discuss that further for to council.
Okay. Next one, the amount of R1C. What was there? In the area structure plan, was there a percentage actually designated for R1C versus R1B at all? You know that?
To the mayor, Councilor Gustafson, I don't have it.
I just don't know if like how we split up, or like is there a percentage of what we're looking for as a town versus like medium versus small? It just seems like it's starting to grow more.
Yeah,
the small lots.
For sure. And to the mayor, Councilor Gustafson, this is first reading, so it's the bylaw. So less questions certainly refine to the next. sir.
Okay,
For your information, so that's something we can certainly.
what do you?
Again, this is one favor of a project. Right, so, you know, if there are percentages or composition. Or I can just use it, issue that will. Obviously.
Yeah, okay. Last one. We talked about, yeah, I think it was on the first, in your first, let's go. The second slide. It was the third slide, just before the circulation comments. You know, we talk about communications, engagement, financial, and then we talk about financial implications, alternative implications. But the one thing that I'd like to bring up is implications for our sanitary system. You know, we never actually talk about that at all in any of the implications to proving something like this. Is this something wise that we should be adding?
To the American Council President, certainly, that'll be a discussion we'll have at the public hearing and certainly we'll put something forward. In this case, this is the first regional protection bylaws council, so they're aware of this forward. These questions certain more detail and further things. In terms of implication, one, because it should, because I present or that the sanitary capacity should stage rather than that. So, okay. But it's certainly something we can highlight. Some more very fast. Each for public hearing. I guess just to update council as a whole, the intent is for today. Then we can just bring back this back public hearing. So, okay.
Questions from members?
Sure.
Counselor Knight.
Steve, the 27 lots that Jonathan Industrial spoke to, is that the ones that are going to be orange right there? Or the middle on the left, on the bottom? Is that the 27 lots that don't be split off? Portion of?
To the mayor, to Council Knight, my understanding is the irregular shaped lots, the non-rectangular lots, and the lots that are non. So they can be ones that are on.
Oh, okay. Good.
It was simply a difference in definition with that clicks on how irregular lot is and portion of
In the current land use bylaw?
Yes.
Not the new one.
To the mayor, certainly, we're doing an overhaul of the land use bylaw and it was city higher bill. So we, again, the town is proceeding on the basis of the definition of land use bylaw. In which we process.
Okay, any further questions? We'll let everybody else have a chance and then I'll come back.
Okay.
Okay, I think you've answered all mine. I had a lot of similar ones. My overall question is, this is just a land designation, so before we move into phase 5 and approve that, all of these things will be pressed before.
Yeah, to the mayor, there's two parts with that to approving the side, the plan designation, six, and then there's a subject. Well, gas. There's two different files required. So, there are a little bit of different discussions that happen each level, but
So tonight is just a redesignation of the land use.
that's right. So this is the first reading for redesignation of land use against council. We still have
Okay. So the ones Counselor Dustin.
Through the chair. I just go back on the 7 that have previously given. Can you point that out?
for sure. Just looking for. So the slide. All right, laser pointer. So they are the 7 over here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Around the curve.
Can you explain why they, like, why they have to be in this designation?
To the chair, to Councilor Gustafson, they are not part of this redesignation. So the only parts that are part of this redesignation are the pink area, the bounded pink area here. We just highlighted that as they are considered as part of the stock development. So we'll see them as a sufficient authority.
So they were never, they were never approved for.
Through the chair to Councilor Gustafson, I believe they were redesignated, actually 6-4 redesignation. So they are currently holding the position. They just weren't something at the time. So we're just highlighting for council what the 5 development proposal is. And that includes.
What were they designated for?
They are currently R1C right now.
And what were they before?
They would have been urban residents.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions from council? Okay, looks like it's Steve. Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion that bylaw 2025 listed crossing side resignation be given first reading and the council direct administration to schedule a public hearing for the bylaw.
Hey, any discussion around the motion? Okay, and it's just a redesignation of the land and the phase 5 as of yet. One in favor of this and any other discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? That's motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Item 7.4, bylaw 2025-06, council procedure bylaws. Manager of legislative and administrative services.
I'm here to present our council bylaw. First, recommends the adoption of an updated council procedural bylaw. Key revisions cover topics such as meeting recordings and live streaming, electronic participation, public hearing, presentation, expression periods. While not legally required under the Municipal Government Act, procedural bylaws are recommended for orderly meetings and ensure compliance with legislative standards and procedural fairness. The current council procedure bylaw was adopted in January 2020 and though amended over time has not undergone full review until now. As part of the review, administration identified the need for comprehensive updates to the changes introduced by the Municipal Affairs Statutes Amendment Act 124, also known as VILTA, and to incorporate best practices in general house. As a result, the bylaw was fully rewritten. To highlight the VILTA related amendments, electronic participation of all. Municipalities must now electronically participate in public. The updated bylaw includes provisions to allow public presentations by Microsoft Teams by request, aligning with the previous bylaw lacks such provision. Abstentions due to conflict. Councilors may now abstain voting due to a broader definition of conflict, including non-financial matters that affect themselves, their families, or associated businesses. The new bylaw reflects this change and mirrors the existing process for pecuniary interests and declarations, leaving the room during discussion. Importantly, violations of pecuniary interest rules may lead to disqualification, whereas breaches of conflict of interest rules do not carry the same consequences. Limitations on public hearings for residential. Bill 20 restricts municipalities to hold public hearings for residential development. While multiple hearings may still be held for other issues. The new bylaw reflects this restriction, stating that only one party is permitted for residential development unless otherwise legislated. These changes are detailed in attachment A of to my report, and aim to ensure the bylaw remains legally compliant and reflective in evolving government processes. The administration is recommending all three tonight. That is it.
Thank you. Questions for manager Nash? I just wanted some clarification on the addendums to the agenda, Lindsay. In here it says that, like, an addendum is an addition afterwards. And it says CEO officer can make an addendum.
You can check these from, sorry.
I think it's under addendums to the agenda, or up, it's under updates and adoption of the agenda. I think somewhere in there it talked about the CEO being able to make addendums without permission, like from the chair or the mayor. And I'm just curious, does that happen, like, is that something that is fixed after council meeting, or what does that mean?
It would be, if once the council agenda is sent out, and want to be added to the agenda, then the CEO would.
Can we add with the chair's permission or in conversation with the chair or whatever else? Any other questions?
Through the chair.
Councilor Brennan?
I'm just curious, it's, the document, it's on page 34, 37. I'm just curious, I don't recall hearing about this, it's about signing authority. And then saying that councilors also have signed. Maybe I missed it, but is that something that's always been that way? Or like,
Through the chair, but that is, it was even at previous council procedure bylaws, it's just something standard, that if we always, there's the mayor and the deputy mayor vote on, then it allows the city governor to sign documents or.
And I also think it's like, all that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's at the beginning. That's what
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, if there's no other questions. We'll get first reading with amendments.
To the chair.
Deputy Mayor.
I propose a motion that bylaw 2025-06 council procedure bylaw be given first.
Opportunity for discussion. Okay, all in favor? Carries. Second reading,
The chair,
Councilor Knight.
I motion that bylaw 2025-06 council procedure bylaw be given second.
Okay, open up for discussion. Okay, no discussion, all in favor? All in favor. Oh, sorry, motion passed. And third and final reading. Would like to make that motion.
Chair,
Deputy Mayor.
I'll make a motion that bylaw 2025-06 council procedure bylaw be brought forward for third and final reading with unanimous consent with.
Okay, open up for discussion. As there's no further discussion, All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. And third and final reading. Counselor Brennan.
That bylaw 2025-06, council procedural bylaw, to give third and final.
Okay. Any discussion
Oh,
with the amendments? Thank you. Any discussion? Take no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
That's motion carried. Thank you. Yeah, I think we can do this at 8.1, Crossfield District Recreation Board student funding recommendations, Director Westnet. I have to remember such a help. Get out. Whenever you're ready.
Mayor Harris, City Council. For you is a report to provide funding recommendation to council to trust the recreation board. So a little bit of background, the purpose of the Crossfield District Recreation Board is to promote quality of life, sustaining growth in recreation and public facilities, activities, projects, and programs that meet the needs of all. On Monday, March 31st. Apologies for that. But the Crossfield District Recreation Board gathered a total of 9 funding applications were submitted to the board, totaling $44,594. After reviewing the applications and receiving presentations from groups, the board motioned to fund a total of $24,911.20. 1 application was tabled and reviewed by administration, council, and second application was all funding application with full supervision. Social impacts, fund branches from the recreation board to local non to assist the clubs and program which our community that benefits participants. Notice funding opportunity were posted on comments of several. Attached to the report is the list of funding allocations. And I would just note that the one for the Ellicott side of the Academy, the motion was made with the requirement that the board executive be provided to us by April. So with my report, and
Thank you. Any discussion, Counselor, any questions? For Russ, Counselor Knight.
Hey Russ, just for the residents, can you explain how the rec board gets its funding? Like, is that portion of town money, portion of recs, like the right county? Can you give people some more information on like, who the money comes from? Is that who the money stays in every function?
through the chair to funding for the recreation board comes from the town of Crossfield. Each municipality provided $30,000 to go forward to fund groups. That those amounts have remained the same for several years. Now it depends on how much money that the board decides to fund out. They try to keep it to 30,000 for funding meeting. They hold funding in the spring and they hold funding in the fall. So they try and get close to that 30,000 if our funds are from that total allocation of 60,000. Those funds go into a reserve to future funds.
Is there any opportunity to increase that funding or as soon as possible? That would include the town. That's something that's not.
Can I just do the chair?
So certainly Crossville Town Council can have a discussion. Right now, in place, we have a 5-year agreement in place with that funding, which will. December. It's either 2020. Within that agreement, it does state that we do have the ability to cut that top bill changes. So that's something. But, and I will say that the board actually. But to address that, certain question. Also. We actually also seem to be getting more funding applications over the year with more groups that are in town and also at times trying to keep costs down.
I believe the rec board made a motion on that. And seeing something. Thank you. This next budget for council.
Awesome.
And making a request to the council. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Through the chair,
Councilor,
do we have a running tally on what we have anything? That, or we just graduated here or we keep it or? I guess the board would know that, right? The rec board should know what the account. It's up,
Right, so each new officer. The board has provided financial average. What they have, they're looking at officer calendar, as well as sort of. I believe. It's quite pleased with all the things that fired. Have some surpluses. But at that means, also to contribute $75,000. Which they
and one of the reasons why they motion in favor of that is the rec board's been looking for a larger project to put money towards. Instead of just feeling some of that reserve, they wanted a larger project to put that towards, and this was an ideal opportunity that hit a lot of ages. So,
and if I mean, then one of the discussions with the board is to try and get that. A lot of to have all topics as far as
right.
Through the chair. I think, do we find that, it sounds like you have a fair bit of money sitting in the bank. And I won't go on the details of that, but where I see a bit of a problem is we're allocating a certain amount of funds to give out every year. Are we holding back? And, or are we not finding enough applicants to give enough to, or because I see that there was an ask of $40,000 this year. Over the years, in previous years, we find not finding enough people, or we're just like we're holding some back. Like we should be giving every single dollar out every year, if possible, and not holding some back. Because it's taxpayers' dollars that we pledge to these programs. So. Yeah, I think it's great to give, 75,000 to basically back to the community in a project, but I don't think that was the intent of having the rec board get $30,000 every year to hold it back to then all of a sudden give to another project. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
to the chair. The board, there are
guidelines that they have to follow by the body, so they should those, I think, they do have good discussion on the validity of the, or let's just say, the flexibility of the application, spending requirements. They do try to come as close as possible to that 30,000 meeting to go up to the. It's just been over the years. They, I would say I can't really speak to what's happened several years ago, but in recent years I know the board it was trying to ensure that that full 60,000.
And just step further that I think, the amount of money that is there is not much more than the 75,000 that we had asked for. That money has been sitting in there for a number of years, previous even to this council. And the board members that are currently on board had a deep desire to make that money available back to the community. So it's not something that we want to keep it in. In recent years, last 2 years, I think that we've seen an uptake of larger amount requests as well as, but mostly the same groups. There's been a couple of new groups like the pickleball, and whatnot, and the curling club, but there hasn't been a lot more groups applying, I would say. And that 30,000 per, one in October and one in the spring, goes pretty fast.
Okay, through the chair, I may probably won't be able to answer that this winter, but just gonna put it out there. That large amount of money, and it is a large amount. Who is managing that, and how is it invested, or what do we do? Just throw it in an account and hope for the best. Good chair, so you pass us tonight. So the answer this initially, very fast. If it is managed by and it's, I believe is basically but we CFO that to
Thanks, Director Nash, thanks, Chair. The funds for the rec board are held in a high interest savings account, so they are earning interest, at a similar rate as our other investments, so doing okay. Yeah, but I guess obviously the intention is it is highly liquid because we do not want to keep that money, we want to invest it back into the community, so.
okay. I'm just a little disappointed, you know, because you want to keep it liquid. Vehicles that you could be using to still have another just a savings account. So that's anyways, just leave it at that. Thank you. Sorry.
So no question there, just a statement.
No, just a statement.
Any other questions? If there are no other questions, can I get a motion?
Through the chair,
Okay.
I'll move that council accept the 25 spring funding request as recommended by the Crossfield District Recreation Board.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor? And that's no motion carried. There must be breaks it down in the week for the next, councillor, we're gonna be there back in. And that brings us to item number 9, council business. As discussed earlier, CA Barney and Director Canadian and Network Schultz to talk about wastewater and funding for emergency buses was a meeting that was well received. Mr. Shelby was very gracious and he made me talk to the administration. That was great. Had made mayor's caucus meeting last week. We accepted 8 to 10 new mid-sized city or mid-sized towns to our caucus, strengthening our numbers for that advocacy to the province. I attended the virtual town south zone meeting with other municipalities. I went to the farmers market last week and both Friday and Saturday to Craft Hockeyville and did to speak to Craft Hockeyville a little bit. I mean, it was amazing. We may not have won, but I think that we still won and our community is stronger for it. Came together as a community. We advocated for something that we're very passionate about and it really brought us together as a community, and I'm very proud of all of us and everyone who participated. We had a couple of really great community champions that led the way and led our minor hockey and figure skating kids through it all, and it was just an incredible thing to watch and see. The crowds and the tailgating and everything else that happened on that Saturday was, pretty spectacular. So I'm just really proud of our community. It just shows that, if we put our minds to it, we can really do anything. I'm thankful for that. I just also want to say just a thank you to all of our administration. I know you guys had to do roles, voting and doing all this stuff because telling your stories and, liking posts because you're passionate about our community, but you also were doing this as part of your role off the side of your desk. And thank you everyone on staff for your hard work for this. Deputy Mayor.
I do exactly everything that Mayor has said as well pertaining to the hospital. And you saw a lot of the community come out that you don't see a lot. So we actually do more families out and seniors. And so it was actually nice to see that. Great.
And then I'm sure robots.
Yeah. Obviously, I attend as well. That's all I have. This is
Hey, Councilor Brennan.
I was also in attendance at that event. Fantastic. I think unreal seeing that many folks from downtown for something that wasn't parade or dirty or some other form of event. That was pretty impressive. There was on Saturday, there was a Marigold Library Board meeting and a scheduling issue. But I reached out and forwarded notes from the CEO Price. She had this to say. All is well. They managed a potential major deficit control expenses, another clean audit, stewarding members to the best of their time. And it's will be for 2 weeks.
Councilor Douglas.
And have we have a lot of fantastic presentations. Actually, we'll just fantastic. Of course,
Councilor Knight.
We held our annual general of the water commission on the budget. There was nothing year, but this year was nothing great about it. So chemicals are low, expenses are sort of down with costs, which is good. Monthly as well. Did attend Craft Hospital as well. That was takes. Unfortunately, the first take didn't work. 300 people in the area and 80 people there because on the fourth take. It was good. Congrats to everyone. It was a good job. I think it's over and by everything.
I just have one question for you. How's the new chair of the water commission?
Okay.
Right?
Thanks for running.
Smooth as Joe?
Yep.
Thanks. All right, Councilor Lambert, Senator Fritz, and Councilor Baker.
I attended hockey hills for briefly, and also attended the market as well. Both events were great.
Brendan? All right, can I get a motion?
Derek,
Counselor Brennan,
also accepted as conservative.
any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? Motion carried. Item 10.1, outstanding items for CAO Barney.
So a couple of adjustments, that's certified 059. So, choice, we also said 007. They do adjust it to 5. Then issue
Any questions for CAO Board? Questions, can I get a motion?
Derek,
Counselor Knight,
I motion items 048, 058 for filing. Item was. And item 007.
any discussion on? the motion? All in favor? Motion carried.
Sure. Motion.
Thank you.